Neeves Knives. I'm Jared, and I had to show you guys this knife. This thing is crazy. This is the Mercentile Mark One, and it has one of the sickest grinds I've ever seen. Now, the blade on it is CPM 3V, and you can actually see it if I unlock it right there. 3V steel, and it is a beast, so understandable. We have a frag titanium handle, and looking at it, you're probably looking at it like, that's got to be uncomfortable. But, holy, just watch my fingers, how they wrap around. This thing is actually very comfortable. I mean, I do feel this clip a little bit, but, man. And even choking up right here, this is so comfortable for push cuts, and the blade is so broad with such a deep hollow grind. This blade gets thin behind the edge, but then thicker, kind of like a Sabenza. If anybody knows how a Sabenza goes, directly behind the edge, like right at the edge, it's actually thicker than it is if you sharpen up a little bit. And that's the way this is. I can feel that this is thicker than right here. So sharpening this, you're only going to get better geometry than when you first started. This is such a, not just a beautiful satin finish hollow ground blade, but a very functional one. Such a broad blade. Now, we'll get into the action here in 1 second. It is a large knife, though. This is not a lightweight. This is heavy. It is a beast. We have multiple forms of deployment. You can see we have a lock bar stabilizer, and what that does is when it's deployed and you have the lock bar, when you go to unlock it, that stops you from unspringing the lock so you don't make the lock bar weaker. And yeah, I have a Band-Aid. Comment below. No, it's not from a cut because I play with knives. It's from a poke. It's different. The ergos though, man, so hand melting, and I can just I like when I grab it, this part of my hand kind of makes it just a little bit forward facing, where like if I was cutting, even though I'm kind of back far away from the edge, I have a lot of leverage and control with this. Now, if I really need maximum control, you can choke up. Lock bar access, not the best, but you know, you have a big enough gap here that it's not a big deal. Works just fine. You can feel the lock bar strength. Not quite like a Medford, but it's solid. It has a very solid feel to it. So really smooth on the drop, and you do have the reverse flicking hole, which is very easy to use. Now, this is a little bit loose. I need to tighten it. One of the things it's in for, I'm going to take it apart, clean it up, and get it centered and everything. The blade stock is nice and thick and robust. However, I'm not mad at it. Now, normally I would say that, come on, camera. Normally I would say this is a little obnoxious, but the blade is so broad that it doesn't really matter. Now, the plunge grind, that could be better. I understand why, you know, I'm sure this was handmade to some extent, but you can see where the belt came in right here and how the plunge grind tapers down, and it actually stops before the edge. So technically, I guess, you know what? I'm not mad at it because it actually stops like right here. So you have actually a lot of sharpenings before you hit that plunge grind. So that's actually really cool. It's actually a lot better than I first thought. I actually thought the plunge grind actually went all the way down to the edge, and it doesn't. So very cool. Great job. Beautiful satin swedge on top too. It's mostly just for looks because there's not much of a gap there. Usually when you have a swedge on top, it allows the materials, sorry, I'm hitting the camera, to go over your blade. So as your blade cuts through the materials, it allows the materials to go over. This, I guess it would probably be somewhat effective, but it's not very deep. It mostly just kind of crowns the spine, but it looks really good. The frag pattern is really nice. The texture is nice and smooth, stone washed, but not an aggressive stone wash, more of a slicker stone wash, which is cool. Everything is crowned and nice and rounded, so it is very comfortable. The clip is not a deep carry clip, but I'm not sure if you'd want a deep carry clip on this. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'd have to find out. I definitely don't like the clip. It definitely cheapens the knife. This knife deserves a milled pocket clip or some sort of good-looking clip. We have multiple standoffs all the way up and down, so that's going to add to the durability and strength. There's no milling on the inside, but I wouldn't even expect it on something like this. You can tell this is a custom. Now the lockup, nice and strong lockup. We do not have a, do we have a steel lock bar insert? No, no steel lock bar insert, but I can see that it is a ceramic ball. So that's cool. They have a ceramic D10 ball. I'm guessing it's ceramic bearings. It looks like, oh yeah, looks like we have the plastic cage ceramic bearings. I think they might be brass cage, like kind of like the Gillians, but it looks like the Delrins or whatever. Either way, it feels really solid. I love the sound. Listen to the sound of this. No, it's not going to do it. Never mind. It has, like, I know it's not going to come over the mic, but it has a real ching sound, but not, like, more of a solid ching sound. The way I'm explaining that. Anyways, it does have a nice solid feel to it. It feels robust, yet easy to deploy, and you know, it's a big knife, but I can feel that it's easy to wield. Do you know what I mean? If you guys know what I mean. I'm talking to a camera right now, but if you guys were here with me right now, you know what I mean? It has like that feeling where it's big, it's bad, it's nasty, but it's easy to control, easy to wield. It's a good-looking knife too. And the handle just looks so ridiculously uncomfortable. But man, once you put it in your hand, you realize, like, man, this was very well thought out. Now the reverse grip, that's not bad either. This is poking me in the palm, but you know, it's not like you use this grip all day. You use it just to cut a strap or two. Yeah. Now I can see the grind is off from one side to the other. This side is the satin, or the grind is a little bit thinner on this side, a little bit thicker on this side. Now because I doubt that that's just the sharpening. 90% of the time, well, I don't want to say that. A lot of the times when you see the edge bevel off from one side to the other, usually it's the grind. But in many cases, it's a little bit of both, where because there are many cases where the edge is just sharpened off. But many times it's both. It's not just one. So what edge would I put on this? So I'm guessing the owner's probably going to want a mirror polish. With 3V, as long as it's heat treated properly, you should be able to put a mirror edge on it. Shouldn't have no issue getting a mirror edge as long as the heat treat is good. And from my experience with 3V, it usually takes a pretty good polish, but you don't need to put a polish. If you really want a lot of bite, between 600 and 1200 grit, you'll get a ton of bite out of 3V. Now, if your angle's right, and if you lower the angle, 17 degrees, 15 degrees, something like that, you can have a mirror polish with an incredible amount of bite. So it just depends on what you want, but 3V does have the ability to basically take whatever edge you really want. You can even put a super toothy edge on it and it'll do really good. But if it is on the softer side, it's probably not going to take the best polish. It'll probably more than likely, especially if you lay back the angle and try to get the polish that way, you might get some bite out of it, but the downside is it's probably going to roll when you use it. So if it's softer, it does just like any steel. A lot of it falls on the heat treat, but heat treated properly, it should be able to take just about whatever edge. But if it is a little softer, I'd recommend not lowering back the angle too far and putting a medium grit edge on it. So I'm impressed. And it kind of reminds me of a grenade too. Like, I just want to grab it and go. I just put this up like near my mouth, like I'm pulling out a pin, and throw. It does. It makes me want to pull a pin and throw this sucker. It's pretty cool. Now the flipper tab, you know, it's pokey, but you light switch it. So a lot of people don't know that, but because I've gotten this comment probably 10 times where I've said you can either light switch it or you can push button it. And they'll say, you didn't do anything different. But this is the difference, really quick, and then we'll get out of here. A light switch is where you drag your finger down. A push button is where you go at the end of the flipper tab and you push directly through to the pivot. So I maybe it is harder to see what I'm doing, unless if you already know. But there you guys go. There you guys go. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Peace.